Hey, you guys. Hope you're having a good day. So I've been thinking a lot about giving up old ideas and old beliefs, and how the process of giving up my old beliefs is a risky one. It requires some risk. Humans are creatures of pattern recognition. One of the reasons we outcompeted a lot of other species is our ability to recognize patterns. We see the leaves move over in the distance and go tiger, and we get out of there so that we don't die. We're real good at trying to interpret the world around us from little small data points. Sometimes the ideas and beliefs we build based on that pattern recognition are right, and sometimes they're not. And a lot of times they were right, but they're not anymore. But I have a belief system built around the way things used to be, and I haven't examined it in a while. And it's limiting my life, and it's causing me problems, and I don't know what to do about any of that. I spent a long time, and I watched a lot of my friends spend a long time trying to perfect a manner of living that was perfectly acceptable when I was 25 or 26 years old. But it was much less functional in my 30s and downright embarrassing in my 40s. The problem wasn't that I wasn't doing it right, it was that it was no longer functional, and I had to find a different way to live. I mean, the running joke at this point is sex, drugs, and rock and roll, pick two, because after 30, you're never pulling off all three. So some of my ideas were right, but they're not anymore. So how do I go about changing my ideas, changing my beliefs? There's got to be a system for that. I can't just change my mind. It doesn't just happen that way. My beliefs are ingrained based on years of experience with how the world works. So I got to go get new experience. For me, that involves examining my ideas and looking at the places where my beliefs are limiting me. And then going out into the world and taking a new action and gaining a new experience from taking that action. And then taking another action and gaining another experience. And then examining those experiences. And then taking another action and gaining another experience. And another action and another experience and another and another and another. And eventually, I get to this place where I take one more action and I gain one more experience and I reach this tipping point. And suddenly, my new experiences outweigh my old experiences and my belief system changes. This is how it's worked for me for the last 20 years. I can't think my way into a new belief system. I have to go out and get some new experiences with the world. Put aside what I think is true and go try something different and see if maybe something different might be possible. And a lot of times the beliefs aren't things that are horrifically wrong. They're not terrible, but they're these stories I tell myself about how the world works and what my place in it is that limits what's possible for me. You know, I grew up poor. I didn't have a bunch of guitars my whole life. I just assumed that guys like me didn't get to have nice stuff. And it really wasn't until a couple of years ago that I realized that I was actually in a place financially where I could go get myself nice gear if I wanted to. I spent years taking jobs that took no advantage of my talents or my abilities because I didn't think I was ever going to find a job that took advantage of my talents and abilities, so I never tried. It's scary stepping outside of your comfort zone. It's scary moving out there into a world and gaining these new experiences. It's super easy to just stay home where it's familiar and small and not very satisfying. But that's not what I want in life, and I got a sneaking suspicion it's not what you want either. I got to be willing to have a little bit of courage, and courage doesn't work the way I thought it did either. It turns out you have to do the thing you're afraid to do, and you get the courage after, and that sucks, but that's how it works. I go out and take a new action, and it's scary, but I gain the experience that I can do it. And so the next time I have to take that action, it's not as scary because I have some experience. And every time I take the action, it gets more familiar and less scary, and pretty soon it's just a new part of what I do. I think it's super important to find some folks to act as mentors or guides for you along the way. You know, I need somebody who's sort of the physical manifestation of who I want to be so that I can keep seeing them out there on the path in front of me. So that who I want to become isn't theoretical, they're embodying it. I've had lots of those over the last 20 years. You know, in the beginning it was finding somebody who was sober and happy and still playing music. And I had to be around those people because those were the three things I wanted most 21 years ago. And then I had to start putting myself around people who had happy relationships so they could talk to me about how to do that, both with friends and romantically. And then I started having to put myself around people who had started to develop some success in their lives and who had taken some chances. And eventually I had to admit I had no marketable skills and I had to go back to school for a minute. I was really good at stuff that either nobody was going to pay me to do anymore, like playing music, or that I was never going to be comfortable doing sober. So I had to step out of those old patterns. So what are the patterns you're in? What are the stories you've told yourself about what's possible for you and what's not? Are there beliefs that you've had for a long time that aren't serving you anymore? What are they? Find somebody to talk to about those things. Start asking some questions. You'd be surprised. Other people see you differently than you see you. My opinion of myself is largely based on my poor spiritual condition, and your opinion of me is based on your firsthand experience with me, and one of those is more accurate, and it's not usually mine. I need people around me who keep looking at me, and I trust their judgment, and they keep going, yes, of course you can do that. Just go, do. What are you talking about? Go, of course you can. And so I have faith in them and their judgment of me, and I go out and try new stuff. Left to my own devices, I will almost always sell myself short. So start asking yourself some questions. Start imagining a life bigger than you've ever allowed yourself to imagine. That's what I'm trying to do. And once again, I'm not special. I just got people in front of me who keep turning around going, what's the matter with you? Get busy. And expecting more from me so that I can learn to expect more from myself. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. If I can ever be of any assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out. Keep yourself safe. I hope I see you soon.